Hello. Hello, everyone. Thank you all for joining us. Before we get started, I just want to acknowledge a few people. First and foremost, thank you so much, President Dr. Susan Barnes, for having us. Let's give her a President. Also want to recognize and give a shout out to our incredible student leaders joining us, Daniel, Reagan, and Dawn Velez. We are student leaders. I also just want to take a point of personal privilege and recognize Ada Reyes, who is also a student. She's a student, former student here, but also a former student at Casa Middle School, where I served as principal for 10 years. Ada, we had big dreams all those years ago, and now we're sitting here at your alma mater. So this is an incredibly special moment. I also need to recognize so many of our women trailblazers and leaders in the audience. This is Women's History Month, so please shout to all the women in the house. Round of applause, please. I want to recognize Darcel Fox, DA, Senator and Special Advisor to the Governor, Ruth Castle Thompson. Community Organizer, Eileen O'Connor. Now, representing the Westchester DA's office, Leela Curtin is not here, but I want to give her a shout out. Also representing 100 Hispanic Women of Westchester, Julia Carias and Eileen Flores. Also recognizing from the Yonkers City Council, Corazon Pineda Isaac. Also want to recognize from the Yonkers City Council, Lakeisha Collins Bella. She's here. Someone from Michelle, City Council, Yadira Ramos Herbert. Also from the Michelle City Council, Martha Lopez Henry. State Senator Alessandra Biaggi. Also want to recognize 3 mayors in the audience. Mayor Nikki Armacost, Elvira Andino, and Jane Brown. Howard is the mayor of Mount Vernon. She couldn't be here today, but let's give her a round of applause. Let's make a few opening remarks before.
To begin this for your brother president.
Stand up and say this. Forgive my staff for not adding this one. We have the Bronx Borough President, Vanessa Gibson. I am incredibly honored and humbled to be in Congress during one of the most challenging times in U.S. history. But I continue to feel secure and stable and empowered under the leadership of our Speaker, Nancy Pelosi. Speaker Pelosi often refers to the Democratic Party as a Big Tent, and it is a Big Tent. It captures the diversity of our country, and it represents the true diversity of our country, not just in terms of class or race or religion, but in terms of ideas. The diverse ideas of our nation is what makes our nation the great country that it is and the great country that it can be. And Speaker Pelosi's leadership guides us on that path each and every day in Congress. She often says, our diversity is our strength, our unity is our power. And it is that diversity and that unity that's going to allow America to become what it is capable of becoming. This conversation here bridges so many gaps. I am a freshman, the speaker is a veteran. The speaker is the first female speaker in U.S. history. And she was so good the first time around, she became speaker again. Obviously great there. But she has always created a space and a platform for me to be myself and so many other freshmen and other members of Congress to be who they are. She's never called me into the principal's office and said something like, Jamaal, don't do this, Jamaal, don't do that. She has always empowered me and allowed me to represent my district in the best way that I know how. So I'm so thankful to her for that. And despite the rhetoric and the framing of a party at odds with itself, that is not true at all. It's a space where the diversity of people and ideas are welcome. So there's going to be some disagreements. That's how a democracy works. There's going to be some conflict. That's how a democracy works. But Madam Speaker navigates it and leads it and encourages it and embraces it in a way that we all can learn from. So the fact that she even accepted our invitation to come to the district, I think represents the kind of leader that she is and the kind of country she believes we can be. So thank you, Madam Speaker.
Thank you very much, Congressman Bowman. We're delighted to receive your invitation to be here today. We've been more excited than seeing so many good elected officials who are here, and women of color, that is an extra bonus on top of it all. It is Women's History Month, and we certainly do celebrate it by electing women to public office in such a strong way, such important positions, district attorneys, borough presidents, and so many mayors and other elected officials who are here, community organizers in the West. It's great to be able to this, Madam President. I appreciate your comments about your appreciation of the rescue pact and what it did for education. Thank you for that recognition. And know that Congressman Bowman, with his education background, was very much a part of putting, insisting on those priorities in the bill, where they're talking about the earliest childhood education all the way up, and also to recognize that this is not a cost. This is an investment, and nothing brings more money to the Treasury of the United States than investing in education. Earliest childhood, K-12, higher education, post-grad, and the rest. So this is investment in the future. Thank you for your attention. Congressman Bowman has been effective from the start because he brought so much experience as an educator and a governance of education as well. And so on the Education and Labor Committee is an important force. There's the vice chair of the whole committee right at the start. In addition to that, he is chair of the subcommittee on science, tech, and technology, science, space, and technology, which is so much about the future and how we invest in research, in education, in apprenticeships, and the rest, so that we have more diversity in our science tech. And that's where the STEAM STEM, we call it STEAM, it's like arts and pursuit. So thank you for your tremendous leadership in that regard. Again, respected from the start, respected for his credentials and his values. So thank you for your leadership. Real began right from the start, right from the start, you jump the gavel, that's pretty exciting. That's not usual. Some people say to me, I waited 16 years to wield the gavel. We wielded gavels right from the start. But that's the recognition. And it's wonderful to be here. I was president that when I was in college, my college roommate was from Riverdale, and so we went to St. Gabriel's Church. I want to recognize Father Angelo. Thank you so much, St. Michael's Ukrainian Church, who is here with us. Church, thank you for the assignment. Keep it close to my heart, so I'm great. It is, we're here at a time, I know we have a lot to discuss, but here we are at a time where a country is invading another country, attacking its democracy, undermining its sovereignty and its borders. This is a bombing maternity hospital. This is outside the circle of civilized human behavior. The people of Ukraine have been so brave, so courageous, so patriotic. And they're not only defending their democracy, they're defending democracy because that's the assault that Putin is making on democracy in general, close to home in Ukraine. Father, thank you, Father, for giving us the as well. So here we are. It's an interesting time. Mr. Bowman is chairman, I call him chairman, okay, and has probably heard me say a million times what our founders said. Thomas Paine said, our founders, the times have found us, and then to declare war, declare independence, win a war, write documents, evaluate and tangible from the rest, in order to establish this country with this democracy, this great example. An experiment in the world. We have much to do to improve it. It's always an experiment worthy of needing an improvement. But 100 and some years later, Abraham Lincoln turns down to hold this country together. And then, times have found us. Not that we place ourselves in the category of greatness of our founders and Lincoln, but the urgency is so important. The basis of the democracy is a strong middle class and those who aspire to it. We are a great country to the extent that we meet the needs of those who need help the most. I was raised a Catholic, and I was at Gabriel's Church here, but the Gospel of Matthew, when I was hungry, fed me, when I was thirsty, gave me to drink, when I was naked and clothed, when I was homeless, when I was in prison, you visited me. It's the words of Christ. When I was in prison, you visited me. That says how we have to meet the needs of everyone. And I'll just close by saying, when people ask me what I think the three most important issues are facing the Congress, I always say the same thing. Our children, our children, our children. Their health, their education, the economic security of their families, and safe environment, free from gun violence, in which they can drive the world of peace, in which they can reach their fulfillment. As a teacher, as a principal, Chairman Congressman Bowman brings those values for the children to the Congress. He's also tired of hearing me say to women in politics. This is Women's History Month. Women in politics, get involved. This is not for the faint of heart. It's right. It's not for the faint of heart. When you get into that arena, you have to be willing to take a punch. You also have to be able to throw a punch. For the children. So it's basically thank you so much. This is a great institution. I've been with that a long time. I went to Trinity College, other women's schools, so we were aware of each other's values.
bring the speaker to the Bronx and talks about throwing punches. So, Madam Speaker, we have...
That district attorney knows that.
So, Madam Speaker, we have a few questions that we can go through. The first question focuses on children and education. You and I want to talk about the need to center children in education, including when it comes to how we protect our democracy. I want to give you a chance to elaborate further on your thoughts on this for our guests, because it's not what people usually think of when we talk about protecting our democracy.
Thank you, but you know, it's funny that our founders spoke as much about education as they spoke about democracy, because it is central to a democracy that people will have an opportunity to flourish, be informed members of democracy, because you have to know what you're fighting for and the rest. So education is as central to democracy as any subject you can name. That all children should have the opportunity to reach their fulfillment is not only a responsibility, it's a mission that we all have to be on, especially in the times of our great diversity, where we have so many newcomers to our country. We want them to have that opportunity as well. And as I say, this does not cost. This is, it brings money to the treasury, so nobody should say, well, you're spending money. Yeah, we're investing. We're investing. So the point of it is, we have so much to learn from our children. I was at a funeral on Saturday for somebody Paul Farmer. Paul Farmer was a great person helping poor people to have health care and that. And one of the statements that one of the villages gave, which I think applies to your question, is he said, person was quoting another person saying that children are the harvest of their parents, but parents are the harvest of their children. So we learn from our children. The children own the future. It's theirs. It's theirs. And so as we invest in them, as we give them every opportunity, we have to understand that they're going to be shaping that future and shaping how we go forward. I would say to members, know your why. When you're unconscious, know your why. Why are you here? You're not here to stay here. You're here to make the difference. If that happens to stay here, that's fine. But why are you here? My why is that 1 in 5 children in America goes to sleep hungry at night. And this is the greatest country that ever existed in the world. So when we're talking about children going to sleep hungry, and all that implies about their economic security and the rest, we have a big responsibility. And frankly, in terms of those children, food is like medicine. How they going to learn if they're not eating? So it's education includes so many things, mentoring from their family members, and if they can't mentor their neighbors, but we have to recognize that our good friend Elisha Cummings is no longer with us. We also said children are messengers, our messengers to a future we will never see. We have to make sure we prepare them for that future and prepare that future for them, for the children.
Thank you. The second question is about what's happening in Ukraine. Recognizing that our global Ukrainian community is in crisis, please talk to us about how Congress will need to navigate this situation and what we've already done to navigate this situation.
This is so, we have so much responsibility here. But God has blessed America with a beautiful diversity of newcomers to our country. And these Ukrainians are here, not that newcomer. They've been here a while, or some more new, and that's the constant reintegration of America. And that holds true for many other populations as well, but right now, our focus is on Ukraine. The other day, someone was a part of our passing legislation, a strong bipartisan plan that with over $13.6 billion for humanitarian assistance, defense, military assistance, as well as economic really important that we get that out right away. The president will sign the bill tomorrow. But that's not all we need to do. 2.7, could be more, this is what I saw this morning, 2.7 million refugees going into Moldova, going to Poland and other border countries. We have the responsibility to provide resources to meet the needs of those refugees, and we have the responsibility to welcome some of those refugees to the United States. That is very, very important. And then, again, we mentioned in the room I sent a letter to Mr. Bowman, Jack Schumer, Peter Schumer and I sent a letter to our members this morning inviting them to a joint session of Congress to hear from the President of Ukraine. I spoke to him last week and he asked for this joint session so he could make his personal appeal. He's made the appeal to your community, he's made it to the House of Commons. I don't know if they did the House of Words, I don't know if they were in there or not, but I know the House of Commons. In our case, we'll have both houses listening to his report, in his own words, as to what his priorities are. There's some things we can do, there's some things we can't. One thing that he's been asking for, open skies. Open skies means that we don't allow any Russian planes up there. But if we were to shoot down Russian planes, it would be the beginning of World War III. There's just no question. And of course, Putin would like to taunt with that. He's threatened chemical, hinted about biological and nuclear. This is a very dangerous, irresponsible person who's doing very evil things, as I said, outside the circle of civilized human behavior. And how can we supply more military assistance without going into the open skies? Danger of that. How helpful would that be to Ukraine? Really, no, but it would be problematic otherwise. As well as how we have loan guarantee, we have $1 billion in loan guarantees. We have other things that we want to do to add to the strength of Ukraine. The issue of refugees coming to our country, because some of our friends are not as welcoming as we would like them to be. Hopefully they will be in your training. And we had when the former occupant of the White House was there. Forgive me, Madam President, but I have a hard to call President. When he was there, one of the first things he did was have a Muslim ban, Muslims coming into the country. The public responded in a very positive, negative for him, but positive way. And we had a hearing. It had to be a long hearing because we weren't in the majority. And when we had that hearing, Councilman Bowman, everybody came. The military came and said, we have to let in these people who helped us in the war, interpreters, this and that. The diplomats came, and thousands of them signed a letter saying this is a horrible thing to do. But what I brought it up for was the executives were there with values and that. But what's interesting is the evangelicals came. The evangelicals are usually a little more on the conservative side. The evangelicals came and they said, the refugee resettlement initiatives of the United States are the crown jewel of American humanitarianism. So let us follow that value that is shared across the board. That's our responsibility to the Ukrainians, to the United States, whatever numbers they want to know.
Madam Speaker, I have a leadership question for you. You obviously made history as the first woman to be elected Speaker of the House, but you also led us during historic times, the Obama presidency, the Trump era, and now the pandemic. How do you define your leadership, and what's your methodology to getting things done?
You really want to know? First, we take a rosary. Blessed by the Savior. Deep bread and lot we do, and that I should have said of Ukraine, first we pray. That we always we pray. Leadership is an interesting phenomenon, and I don't say this just about me. I say it to all the women who are here. I'm not doing it, but no. do this? How can I thrive, succeed, whatever? The first thing you have to do is know your why. What is your vision? My vision is as one of my children live in poverty, and that, when I say that, I mean justice and fairness in our society. That's when I'm a Democrat. Pardon me for projecting the partisan word there. That's not a Democrat. I care about people. Okay, so that your vision is to make life better for people. And by the way, the most patriotic thing you can do, because the strong middle class and helping people to get into the middle class is the backbone of our democracy. That's the backbone of our democracy, so that's patriotic. Secondly, to know. One of the things that I'm saying to somebody today, because I never aspired to run for any, even Congress came to me, and then I never aspired to run for leadership, who came to me. So I was working on an appropriator, I'm first leader, and then nobody knows how long, to have a security background in intelligence for more than 25 years. So I had all this in my head, and so I knew the subjects. You have to know your why, you have to know your what. What is it you care about? What do you know about it? You don't have to know everything about it, nobody does. But you have to know what you want to attract support, so you have to show that you have judgment. And then the why, the what, the how. Are you a strategic thinker? You know how you're going to get this done? If you know your why and your how, you're likely to attract people to the purpose, because you have a plan. And then, of course, you want to connect with people to make sure that this is the most important, listening to them. It's not what you have in your head, or how and what, it's what your members, and them listening to their constituents. It has to come up this way. It can't come down this way. So it is about listening to people, understanding their challenges, their hopes, and their fears, and shaping policy that has success, results, and can be sustained. But it's tough because now we have some big differences in priorities in our country. And all the reason for us to be so authentic. That's what I love about our president. He has a vision for the country. He knows his subjects. He's been in this service for a long time. He's a strategic thinker to get things done. He has authenticity in connecting with people and listening to them. He can legitimately say, my father was his job. We have in the city kitchen table concerns. And how, whatever it is we're doing, how does that resonate with that kitchen table? Food, school, rent, whatever, credit card bills, or whatever expenses. So it is, it's about, we talk about policy, we talk about politics, but it's really about people and what resonates with them. And as you listen to the members, and the new members coming with fresh eyes on the legislative challenges that we face from one side of the aisle, one side of the Capitol to the next, it's pretty refreshing. So I encourage all of you to understand, especially women here, what difference your service makes. It is, nothing is more wholesome for politics and government than increased participation of women and minorities in the political process. That's the strength of it all. So, again, know your power in all of this, and know that, again, it's a little bit of a fight.
So I have one more question. I'm going to combine the last two into one. We're going to try to be brief. Sorry to everyone.
That was telling me to be brief.
So this question, and Vanessa, I swear we had this before you brought it up. Black maternal health.
Yeah.
Black maternal health. As we commemorate Women's History Month, I wanted to ask about a group of women that too often get left behind, an issue that tends to get overlooked when we talk about women's issues in this country, and that's Black maternal mortality. So how can Congress begin to address this issue? We already know Congress is doing a lot. The second question is on gun violence. Sorry, I'm asking you to be brief on these two big topics. Gun violence is a very big issue for our country, and it's especially a big issue in New York's 16th district. Parts of our district have some of the highest rates of gun violence. Too often the news is covering death and horrific instances of violence, often the children and the casualties. You made, Madam Speaker, H.R. 8, the Bipartisan Background Checks Act of 2021, one of your top priorities, but it's still sitting in the Senate. How do we continue our fight for common sense gun control?
Thank you. Well, thank you so much for those questions. And again, I want to just enlarge the issue into the issue of safety, community safety, which is very important. We take an oath to protect and defend the Constitution, the community, the people. And so, again, both those issues go to respecting the safety of people. I have children, 5, 6 years, and 1 week. So I'm very attuned to people having babies and what a challenge it is. And the very idea that we have an issue about maternal mortality, especially in the African American community, is totally, completely unacceptable. In this day and age, what are we talking about here? What you should be happy about, though, is in the Congress. In fact, the president even talks about this subject. This is the level of the presidency. And it goes back to what I said about what's your purpose, what's your knowledge, what's your plan. We know now we have more evidence of maternal mortality, especially in the African American community. There's what we know. As Ann said, but in real life, we know. We know what we can do about it. And we have a task force set up specifically for this under the leadership of Congresswoman Alma Adams of North Carolina. Some of our members, though, have also worked on this in addition to me. And I want you to be comforted to know they are relentless, persistent, dissatisfied that we get this job done, that we just make this a priority. Because what clear indicator of insufficiency and unevenly the people that think that we have maternal mortality, especially in the community. So this is a priority for us. And again, listening to how you see it is very important to us. And Councilman Bowman has been an advocate in that regard to make sure we let me just say one last word before I go to guns. In the Congress, we can do so much. You know, you have your agenda, your this, your that, as you put it together. But any bill that you want to pass, you do your inside mobilization to get the job done. But none of it is as good as it could be without the outside mobilization. So the community organizers and those who have been involved, community that is so important. It's the best, it improves the legislation and improves our prospects for passing the legislation. So again, I'm a community organizer myself way back when. And you'll always be dissatisfied. We'll never get everything we want, but we won't get the best we can without mobilization. So anybody's involved in outside mobilization, that's really clear. On the gun issue, we are not going away until we pass gun violence legislation and prevention. This is something that is supported across the country, and 80% plus people support background check legislation. NRA members, gun owners, collectors, they have all background check. They're supporting that, but there's an element that does not believe in two things. They don't believe in governance. Don't tell me that I have to live up their good. And they don't believe in science. Science tells us that unless you hold these things in check, you're going to have more gun violence. We have an absolute responsibility to our children now. We, at my district in San Francisco, that I represent, your parents come, we go to church, we shout out their names and their children. They have T-shirts for the children. That's all over the country. I'm sure you have that here too. And just because of the influence of big, dark, special interest gun money, I'm not just talking about the NRA, I'm talking about people making money off of guns. And that's why we have to pass the Gun Voting Rights and the Voting Freedom to Vote Act. If we could pass those bills, the full, big, dark, special interest money in politics would be diminished. And we could pass this other legislation that is so important. And it's supported by the public, Democrats, Republicans, Independents, declined states, whatever they want to call themselves, across the country. They support that, but not in the Congress of the United States. Now, we passed it in the House. The Senate requires 60 votes. I think the life of our children would require sweeping that path by the filibuster rules to pass this legislation to save lives, And it is, and we've said we meet with the survivors all the time, at home, in the Capitol, and big groups come from the church, all the rest. We are not going away until we pass this legislation. It's a shame that we have not passed the gun violence legislation. It's a matter of life and death. And we make a big deal about, rightly so, about mass murders. Make a big deal of sometimes an incident, and that's so important and heartbreaking. We have to stop. But every single night across America, people are dying from gun violence or threatened by gun violence. And even just because it isn't 4 or more doesn't mean that it isn't very important and that we have to address. On this issue, as so many members from our New York delegation have been as well. But we just have to keep the pressure on because they don't. Those people come from Baltimore originally, although from San Francisco, been there 50 years. But I'm in Baltimore, same stories of what's happening in the streets all over the country. Chicago, and all over the country. What? And we can't pass this legislation, which only would simply say if you shouldn't have a gun, you shouldn't have a gun. It really isn't a curbing of freedom or anything. That's just making sure people pass those tests. So in any event, it is in the House bipartisan, not largely bipartisan, but it's bipartisan, and we would like it to be in the Senate. And we will not give up on this until we can pass this legislation.
Diversity is our strength, our unity is our power, and we are all in the middle of something special. I believe we're in the middle of creating and building and reimagining and redesigning a country and a world that truly works for everyone. And it's an honor to be here